Welcome to Breaking Limitations Show with our host, Joyce Marendes. We are here to empower, equip, and promote. Let us discover your superpower.
Hello, and welcome to the Breaking Limitations Show. As you heard, my name is Joyce Marendes, and I am so excited to be here today. I'm excited to just have this session. It's been a while since we had the Breaking Limitations Show. So I want you to go ahead. If you are there, I want to encourage you to go ahead and share this broadcast with everyone that you know, all your friends, all your groups. Go ahead and share. We're on Facebook and we're also on YouTube. So you want to go ahead and share because we're going to be discussing some amazing things today. Again, my name is Joyce Marendes. I'm your host today. As you all know, our mission here is always to empower, to equip, and to promote. And today I have a special guest with us. Her name is Coach Vuyanzi, and you are going to hear more about her. And then we're going to be discussing some things because, as you all know, this is Women's History Month. So we'll be talking about women and leadership. So I want to give you guys like a minute or two, or even just a few seconds. Go ahead and just share this broadcast so that we can be able to start. And I am just excited. I'm excited to be here. Woo! So I'll go ahead and put this in my group. I know some people had asked me to tag them, so I'll go ahead and do that. And then, guys, you don't want to miss this session because it's going to be off the chain as we discuss about women and leadership and how our own culture affects how we lead. So go ahead and just share this information. And then I'll go ahead and have Coach Vuyanzi come on in the room. Hello.
Hey,
Hi,
hey,
Coach.
hey. Pew, pew, pew,
Yes.
pew, pew.
She's in the house. She's in the house. Welcome.
Yes. And she is sharing
Welcome.
in her groups too. Sharing again in the groups. Sharing again, right?
Yes. Yes, that's awesome. Go ahead and just share in the group so that we can be able to meet share with the ladies and everybody. We can be able to have this conversation because I really enjoy talking about women and also just how we can be able to empower women in every area. So go ahead and let's say in we take 10 seconds to share, and then you tell us and then I'm going to read your bio. So let me see here. So yeah, we are live. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for anyone who has logged in. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guest. Her name is Coach Vuyanzi, and in a nutshell, Coach Vuyanzi helps women leaders to uncover their soul connected childhood livelihood so they can answer their alarm clock to destiny and manifest the life they truly desire. With an apologetic focus on Black women leaders, Coach Vuyanzi has served as support, destination guide, and thought partner to women and men in 4 continents. She is a transformational life coach, a TEDx speaker, international speaker, best-selling author, and YouTube show host of the Find Your Voice show with Coach Vuyanzi to help Black women leaders to find their voice from inside out. Wow, there's more, but I'm not even gonna read that. But that is so awesome. Thank you so much. So that
Oh,
is awesome. Thank you so much for taking time to be here today. It's such an honor to have you. I'm so glad our paths crossed
God.
because we actually believe in the same things. We are kind
Mhm,
of doing similar things. And so
mhm,
I thank God for the opportunity. I know that it's not by accident that our paths have crossed.
mhm.
And so we're going to be meeting again face to face somewhere in the whichever continent God chooses. It could be US.
Yes.
We are breaking limitations, so we are not limiting ourselves to one continent. Wherever God wants us to meet, that's where we're gonna be, and we'll be able to connect. So if you could just go ahead and just share a little bit about yourself, let our listeners know where you're located, and just a little bit about what you do, and even how you started, what made you even start this journey.
Okay, so first of all, I say thank you so much, Joyce, for this opportunity. I too do not believe in coincidences. I believe that we have met for such a time as this, for a purpose and for a reason. And which continent it we meet on is up to divine planning, right? Up to divine
Yes.
strategy. So I am grateful to be here today. I am, as you heard Joyce say, I am Coach Vuyanzi Rodman. And to put it even more simpler, in case people heard that and say, but exactly who does she help? I help Black women leaders who want to make a career transition with ease, because most of the time that is where it starts. Me, how did I get into it? Well, then I'll have to take you back a little bit, back to when I was a middle school teacher here in the United States. Currently, my body is sitting in the United States, in New Jersey. However, I can tell you all that my mind, my spirit, my soul right now have traveled across the waters, and those parts of me are in Kenya. But anyway, at this moment, I'm sitting in New Jersey, and this is important because it was 24 years ago that I started off on a journey that I thought I'd still be on today. And that was a career as a middle school teacher. I know that we have people from all over the world that are watching. So to be clear, I was teaching students who were between the ages of 12 to 14. And I pretty much thought that was it. However, that's when I started 24 years ago. However, in my going into my 7th year of teaching, I had then gotten exposed, and I started to understand that there was a world beyond education. And I said that September, going into it, to myself, this will be my last year in the classroom.
Wow.
And that journey, and when we think about it, it's really divine. 7 is the year of completion. That's the year of like fulfillment. And anyway, 7 is very much a significant number. And I wasn't necessarily even looking at that. However, that following May, even before the school year ended, I would have my first career transition and utilize those skills elsewhere. And little did I know, Joyce, that what that was doing was starting to pave my path for my purpose, and
Wow.
paving the path for me to walk in my purpose, to help other women making career transitions and learning their superpower and learning how
Mm.
to walk in their purpose. Listen, that was only the first transition for me. And I will say this, for a long time, there were times that I felt a little shame or embarrassed about having a couple of different career transitions. Then I remembered something, that even though I came from a family where you do one thing for 30 years and you retire, that no one ever forced me or put pressure on me. It was just like society that I had to stay in a thing for that amount of time. So I started, because when I first left teaching, some of my colleagues were like, why would you ever leave teaching? Like, we got a good gig here. But
Mm.
then my thing was, I made that transition, and then different transitions after that. But that set me up to walk in my purpose, to help empower women, to help them break through their limitations. A lot of it really,
Mhm.
where is it, in the
In
mind,
the mind.
and
Mhm.
really help to land me here. And I am fortunate enough to be coaching women all over, to have coached women all over the world. And I'll tell you a little secret here, as we talk about women in leadership. A lot of times, right, women come to me because of that career transition. Yet in the
Mm.
end, we find that it's not really just about the career. A career is a part of the bigger picture of why maybe they haven't moved forward or what may be blocking them. So, anyway, that is me in maybe a little bit bigger than a nutshell. So, thanks again, Joyce, for this opportunity.
Oh wow, that is so awesome. And I love how you said about yeah, when someone wants to like sometimes just how life has been, we are so used to having things just the way they are, and so when you try to make a change, everybody question you like, what is wrong with you? We don't
Yeah,
do stuff like this. So when you try to do something that's different from the norm,
yeah.
people try to either make you second guess yourself. So
Mm,
you have to actually be in a very strong place,
yeah,
where you truly believe in yourselves to be
yeah.
able to make a change. Because I was watching a video today, and John Bevere, I don't know if you know him, he's a preacher. He was talking about how he had gone to this meeting when he was in like a freshman in college, and they were celebrating this guy who said he had worked for 38 years in at some company. I don't know if it was IBM or which some big company. He had
Uh,
worked there for 38 years, and he said he hated it all those 38 years. And so he asked him, why did you stay there that long if you hated it? And he said, well, it's just a job and that's how you make money. And he said that's when he made up his mind. He was like, I'm gonna figure out what God wants me to do, and I have to do something that I love. I don't want to work for 38 years to
wow.
find myself doing something I
Ooh,
hate. And
ooh.
and that is even like, especially when it comes to women, it's
Mm,
even harder for us to make those decisions. Like, I
mm,
don't like this career, I'm gonna start a new career, because we feel we are nurturers. We feel like we want to take care of everybody. And so you
mm,
feel like if you end up making those changes, it might disrupt other people. And so
mm.
you decide to settle for just being, you will be inconvenienced while everybody else is doing their thing, moving into their purpose, but you will be like the sacrificial lamb. That's what.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Um,
Mm,
Joyce, you just said something that reminded me of this, right? You're even talking about the way where we are nurtured to be nurturers many times. And I know
yes.
whether it's African culture or even African American culture, that whole
Mhm,
thing about the martyrism or the martyrdom, I think it's called the
mhm,
martyrdom and, the
yes.
sacrificial lamb. But there were studies, and I'm sorry I didn't pull this up ahead of time because this just came to me. There are studies that show that something happens to little girls when they are around the age of puberty. So
Mm,
if they were outspoken as little girls and they just seemed to shine, 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 and they had big personalities,
mm,
if some part of that isn't specifically honed in on and nurtured, then they can completely lose that from puberty. So
mhm,
imagine. I
mm,
mean, we're talking about women, right? Maybe 35, 45, 55, et cetera, et cetera. However, this change for many of us goes on in our pubescent lives.
yes.
And really, I think if everyone paused for a moment, not everyone, but if a lot of us paused for a moment, and we may have thought about, well, how were we? Why was I so bold when I was seven,
Mm,
8 years old? All
yes.
of a sudden, you got pardon me, I'm going to speak very plain, Joyce, for a moment, but it's like
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
got boobs. When your boobs started coming, something diminished in you.
Mm,
And a lot of
mm,
times our families, we love our families. They do what they can, with the tools they have, but a lot of times that thing is suppressed. There are studies. So this isn't Vuyanzi saying this. There are studies that something actually happens. So now let's
mhm,
fast forward into what happens with women in leadership and how women are impacted by culture and by environment in leadership as a woman.
mhm.
So all of this comes together.
Yes, that is so true. Because I remember talking to one of my friends, and she said how she used to be very loud when she was a child, and then she used to be told that she needs to tone it down.
Ooh.
No one wants no one wants a girl who is too loud because
Mm.
they are perceived that they'll end up getting pregnant early.
Ooh.
Yeah, they'll, or no one wants a girl who is too loud or who talks too much,
Mm.
and just so she was told she has to calm down, almost
Mm.
have a different, almost change her personality in order to fit into society.
Mm.
So we find there's a way that there's a way, depending on the environment that you grew in, they have certain expectations of you as a girl. And so they groom you into almost hiding parts of you so that you can fit in. So it's either you conform so that you can fit in, or you stand out and then you'll be almost cast out or shamed
Mm.
all the time, or people talking about you saying, oh, she's this and that. And so most of us conform. We hide parts of us that maybe our friends, when we are with our friends, will see, but then when we come home, we are this obedient person who doesn't laugh a lot, but when we are with our friends, we're like,
Mm.
we are all over the place.
Mm.
And then the how you were raised, the culture you were brought in also affects you even in the marketplace. Because
Mm.
I know, like in the African culture, we are told that don't look at people in the eye, you're being rude and all that. And then you come here, and when you don't look people in the eye, they think that you are hiding something. Like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you just look at me straight in my eyes when I'm talking to you? And yet, I personally, I found myself in corporate America, having that battle in my head, where I'm like, this person is my manager, my superior. I need to respect them. I shouldn't look at them in the eye. But then now the culture I'm in requires something different. So when I'm doing it, I'm like very uncomfortable. And so someone is wondering, what is wrong with you? But it's because you have two cultures that are colliding,
Wow.
and you're trying to be effective in this area of leadership, and yet your culture is affecting how you show up. And so sometimes people will pass you when it comes to promotions and different roles because they feel like maybe they're not capable. And the thing that might be blocking is not really your giftings or your
Mm.
talents. You're capable,
Mm.
but your culture, that has been like your foundation, is affecting how you show up in the marketplace or in
Mm.
a business or in every area. So it's really powerful. I'm excited to see what you do for women, and just how you empower them so that they can become, they can be able to transition to become everything that God has called them to be.
Oh my gosh, you hit
So
on so many. Well, humna, humna, humna. Well, first of all, you hit on so many things, and I want to say what I'm hearing you say, right? Because there's this piece of how you grew up, the environment or the culture that you grew up in, and then
Mhm.
that meets all of a sudden the corporate environment or your work, wherever it is that you are working. So it's a couple of statistics. I like to say this, and my unapologetic focus is on Black women. So in the
Mhm.
United States, one of every three Black women feel they are less empowered and supported to overcome professional challenges than the general population. So hold on a minute, right? I'm coming as a girl all grown who may have been taught to kind of take it down just a little bit, right? And
Mhm.
then when we look at leadership, at least in the United States, Black women, and this is not me saying this, these are studies that show Black women are already underrepresented in leadership. So
Yes.
then how does this, it's almost like you have an east versus west type thing, and I'm not really talking geography, but I'm talking childhood versus corporate, and now
Mhm.
all of this weighing in on a woman leader, and then this person, and this person now comes to me. Now I want to back up. When we say leader and leadership, who's a leader? Who is a
Mm.
leader?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I will say that who a leader is where it starts is here,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Where it starts is internal, where everything starts internal here inside. We could say in the mind. And in case anyone's saying, wondering, well, what does that mean? Well, the chair that you are sitting on and the chair that I am sitting on started off as a thought. It didn't start off as a chair, right? The
Yeah.
clothes, your beautiful dress that you're wearing, and my sweater.
Yeah.
The clothes we are wearing did not begin as clothes. They began as a thought or as an idea. So what is leadership? Leadership first begins as an idea in your mind. So to anyone who is watching, it's not about your title, but it's first about who you think you are. And so that actually one of the questions you ask, like, how do I help these women who are impacted by all these things? Well, first it is identifying who you are. So many times I think about actually one of my very first clients years ago who came to me. Now, by all accounts, she was a leader. She was a medical doctor. She was a wife of a pastor at the time, ironically, and had a couple of kids. And she's a leader in every way, every way. However, she had lost herself. She had, let me say that for the people in the back. She
Yes.
had lost herself, right?
Uh-huh.
Not knowing who she was. And that's one of the first things we do. Over and over again, women are coming to me. I just had a purpose finder call with a wonderful woman who had lost herself because she had been in her career for over 20 years and then had involuntarily been transitioned out of that career. Who was she or who is she? That identity had been attached to that. So, whether people watch now or on the replay, I'd love for them to put that question in the chat. Who am I? So first to
Yeah.
ask the question, who am I? So that's really the first step, Joyce. Identifying that first from the inside out.
Yeah, because that is so powerful because I know I found myself in that space where I got lost in just I had a lot of things that I was doing and it looked good on the outside, but I was crumbling on the inside. And the part of me was that's because I didn't have a clear identity of who I was, and my identity was attached to the outside things that I was doing. And so when I felt like I was losing everything that was around me, I had to find myself. I found myself questioning, why am I even here? And so even when I have my program, it's called Discover Your Superpower Program. It's because I help women walk through that journey of discovering who they are out from the inside out. And I love what you say, okay, from inside out, because a lot of times we attach ourselves to maybe the job that we do, or maybe your role as a mother, or maybe your role as a wife, or your role as a leader here, or different things. But that really is not your identity. You have to get it from within, such that if everything is taken away from you, you still know who you are, you're still comfortable with who you are, and you know that no matter what happens, you can bounce back and just be the person you are designed to be. And so I have I find even like when I went to school, God did all the stuff we're supposed to do. Got my bachelor's, got my master's, did all these certifications and everything. And then you go to a job, you don't like it. And then after some time, I left the job. But then when I left the job, I had an identity crisis where I was like, okay, my who am I outside of my job? Who am I outside of my children? Who am I outside of my role? All these different roles that I have. And I had to sit and actually figure myself out. And it was very scary. And I think sometimes our jobs keep us busy from trying to discover who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
because we can be busy, or you can pour yourself out to your children,
Yes.
but you and there's nothing wrong with that. But also we use that as an escape route, because we are like, you know what, if I'm constantly here giving to my children, taking them for soccer practice, taking them for swimming, taking them for these classes and
Mhm.
this and this and this, then I don't have to take time to think and ask myself the difficult questions. Who am I outside
Mhm.
of my job? Who am I
Mhm.
outside of my children? And so I find a lot of women, and I believe that we are all leaders, and we are called to lead ourselves first before we can even lead anybody else.
Mhm.
But when we don't take time to even, when we are too busy to even take time to ask ourselves those questions of who am I, what am I supposed to be doing here on earth, outside of all these activities that I have, then we are using those things to escape from the real purpose of why we are here. And when
Mhm.
we escape from that, we live this life where we are unfulfilled. And so we are constantly getting upset with people on the outside. You don't do this for me. You don't do this for me, because your fulfillment is not coming from within, it's coming from without. And so
Mm.
it's, you constantly need someone, or you constantly need someone to do something for you to feel like you're worth it, or to feel
Wow.
like you're valuable, to feel like you're cared for. And so this was such an eye opener for me, because when I was going through the journey, oh my gosh, you know how they say it, when I was in the messy middle, because you're first, okay, you get whatever happens that causes you, because most of the time something tragic or something kind of happens that causes you to have to reflect, because we never just take time and say, you know what, let me reflect today, how's my life, how, we never do that. We always allow crisis or something to happen to
Mhm.
cause us to reflect. And so when you start to reflect is when you realize that you need to do all this work. And
Yeah.
the work is, it's messy, because
Mm.
you
Yes. Amen. Amen.
sometimes I used to feel like I am like God, I just need you to put an IV to take the pain away, just take
Mm,
the
mm,
pain
mm.
away.
Wow. 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 Yes. Yes. Real
But
talk.
it is, yes, but it is true, like it's tough, but we just have to realize that everything starts with us. Everything starts with us, and it starts from within. And so, and the work is not easy, because we have to dismantle foundations from our culture and our
Mm,
environment.
mm,
And
mm.
that is always,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'll let you chime in, because that I'm very passionate about that. I
A
can talk about
hundred
it.
percent. No, I feel it because I am too. Like you said, we're very similar in our calling. So there have been a number of things that you said. Uh, so what comes up for me first is this, right? If the question is, does culture and environment affect women in leadership? So we know that the answer is number one, yes, right? And then really when we go to how does culture and leadership affect women in leadership,
Mhm.
culture, excuse me, culture and environment affect women in leadership, then for me really it's hovering over this answer of the loss of self. Really
Mm,
all of this is about identity. Yeah, we can. I don't totally. I can talk about other things, but we're hitting on something so hard here because repeatedly, women are coming to me over and over saying different versions of the same thing.
yeah.
They don't know who they are.
Mm.
And in fact, even when you said when you gave the story about the guy, first of all, who freaking that's crazy that he worked at the same job that he hated, and then when you talked about people are leaving this earth not even knowing who they are, and it made me
Mhm.
think about this great quote from Les Brown, and I had to find it, and it is this: And people, hopefully, people who are listening, you can throw some hearts or fire emojis if you understand and agree with this. This is this quote by Les Brown. The graveyard is the richest place on earth because it is here that you will find all the hopes and dreams that were never fulfilled, the books that were never written, the songs that were never sung, the inventions that were never shared, the cures that were never discovered, all because someone was too afraid to take that first step, keep with the problem, or determined to carry out their dream.
Wow.
Right? Let that land for a second. Let that land for a second. At
Mm,
the graveyard,
mm.
like this thing, right? This thing rivets, like there's an energy just pulsating through my body right now because this thing is for real of knowing who you are. Because when you know who you are, you can walk in your superpower. You can
Yes.
discover. Well, let me even go back. You can then be open to discovering your superpower.
Mm, mhm.
You can be open to walking in your purpose.
Yes.
I want to say this back in 2019, I said to myself, I am going to be a welcome, Esther. Esther said she's late, but she's here. Welcome, Esther. Uh, in 2019, I said to myself, I'm going to be an author in 2020. And opportunities by the end of 2019 came. And I'm saying this because uh, the first opportunity that came, or sorry, I think it was the second one. But anyway, this book was called "What Is Your Superpower?" Anthology. So it was a book like 8 women uh, wrote portions of this, co-authored this. Let me get my words right.
Mm,
So this thing, Joyce and Esther, were was the most difficult thing I had to write, and that was
mm,
about my superpower. So let's think about this, right? We're looking at how these things, culture and environment, impact or affect you in leadership. Where are you a leader from the inside out? However, writing about what was my superpower meant that I had to admit something that I actually didn't like about myself. Let me be clear. The thing I didn't like about myself, the thing that people said they loved about me, was actually a superpower that I didn't know was a superpower, and that I poo-pooed it. I was like, ugh, what is this? Ugh.
mm.
And writing about my superpower made me have to discover, unpack that layer of myself. What is my superpower? Well, a lot of people say it to this day. They're like, oh, I love your energy.
Mm,
And people have said that to me, Joyce, for a couple of decades.
mm.
I grew to dislike it because to me that meant nothing. I'm like, well, it's not math, it's not reading. I don't like it's not science.
You're
What
like,
is
how it's
your
gonna make me
energy?
money?
You like my energy. It's not an instrument I play. What is this thing, this elusive thing that slips through my fingers called
Uh,
energy?
uh-huh.
But what am I getting at? It was the first it was the first time I admitted what my superpower was. And I was a coach at the time. Let's be
Uh,
clear. I was a coach already at the time. However, when I admitted it and I acknowledged it and I recognized it, I then was able, despite the environment. And by the way, by the time 2020 came around in the United States, there was a whole lot of different stuff going on, but it enabled me to lean into my superpower, which then began to help me even more to walk in my purpose.
wow.
That's just a little piece right there. Joyce, let me land right there. Let me kick this back
Yes.
over to you. Woo!
Isn't that amazing? Because we like our environment plays such a big role. You know how we were raised. our environment plays such a big role. Because for me, I remember I had stopped talking because I was always told that, oh, like brushed off, like always told that what you're saying is not important, what you're saying, oh, it doesn't make sense or whatever. And so I was constantly brushed off, that I stopped talking. Because I remember as a child, I was very noisy. I could talk like all the time. They'd say, "Ah, she's too playful," because I always wanted to just have fun, to play and laugh all the time. I wanted to be happy all the time.
Mm.
And and then I remember looking back, like years later, I just realized that I used to keep quiet a lot. I would not talk in meetings. I would not talk in places. I
Mm.
would just not talk. But then it's because when you're constantly belittled or constantly put down, constantly told to what you said is not important. And I actually changed my personality so that I cannot, like almost less, so that I cannot get in trouble. So
Wow.
I cannot ruffle any further feathers. I cannot be in anybody's way. And so
Mm.
I lost myself in that. So
Mm.
I had all these different ideas that I could think about, things I thought I could do, but I would never share them because I never thought what I had to say was important,
Mm.
what was valued. And so it took it took a while before, like one time I went for a meeting and I decided to just make a comment, like when, because I'd go for meetings but I would never talk. I would just be like, okay, I'll just be there because I'm supposed to be there, and then I would never talk. And so one time I talked, like they finished the meeting and I was like, you know what, let me just give them my ideas of what I'm thinking, like just let me do this one thing.
Yeah.
And then when I did that, everyone was like, what? So I realized my gifting is in how I think.
Mm. Wow.
And
Come on. Come
and
on.
yeah, it's in how I think. I think differently, but in my gift is in how I think. I can think different things. And so the enemy was using my environment to silence me and make me think I have nothing to say, or make me think that what I'm thinking of my idea is not a good idea, only to discover that how I think is different, but it's actually that's what people pay for now.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. Well, like, okay, I need to know what, or people want to send like their stuff, what they're doing. I need you to look at this, tell me what you think, and I'll make a decision based on what you think. And it's a like big ideas, things that people are doing. And so I realized that our environment can subconsciously steal our purpose. And so when you're in this environment that doesn't allow you to be who you are created to be, you can actually live a substandard life, because you don't know that you don't know that your treasure, you are gold, and then maybe you're plastered with clay, you're gold plastered with clay, and you don't know that if they remove all that clay, you're actually gold and very expensive. And so my desire now is, I always say, okay, I wasted all those years thinking of myself in one way, and now I realize, oh, I have this gift and I'm going to use my gift. But in the process of using the gift, I also want to help other women, because I
Yeah.
discovered there's so many women out there
Yeah.
who maybe they just think of themselves as, just maybe I'm just a housewife,
Mm.
there's really nothing else I have to offer. And so they will settle for a certain, to be treated a certain way, because you're told, anyway, you're just a housewife, what can you do?
Wow. Wow.
Well,
Wow.
in actuality, if if she discovered her superpower, if she discovered her purpose, she might end up, actually, maybe she can even discuss, she can own a whole company, she
Mm.
can be the CEO of some company, or she can be, but the environment that you're in will feed you, make you see yourself one way. And that's why we even tell people, you're like the five people you're around, truly. Because if those people just see you as, if they see you as a clock, oh, they see you as this, that's all they'll see you, and they'll never even try to tell you to do anything bigger. If you try anything bigger, they'll talk you out of it, because they'll see like, oh, why do you think you can do that and you're only this? And so I really like, I'm even in this Black History, Women History Month, my desire is to be able to see women get their voice back, because I
Mm,
think we've lost our voice because of society. We've lost our voice because of our environment. We've lost our voice because of all these things that we are told to that women should do, when in actuality, you just need to first discover who you've been called to be, discover your purpose. And as you walk in your purpose, all these other things that you're told, you need to, if you don't know how to cook, you're a useless woman. If you don't know how to clean, you know what? Make money, hire people to do all that. We
mm,
don't need to be doing all that. If you love to cook, you can cook. But if you don't want to cook, hire someone to cook, and hire someone to clean, hire someone to do all these things, but walk in your purpose and be authentic. Don't 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 force yourself to be someone that society wants you to be. Be who God created you to be, and leave it to the max.
oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Joyce. Oh, yeah, you're dropping gems. Like you are dropping your gems. Thank you. Let me steal them. let me let me steal them. So I am. Hey, Teddy. Sorry. One of my friends is on too. So
Yes.
so
Also.
I want to acknowledge just in what you're saying, right? So let's just go back. Let's go back to the icky part for a second, right?
Mhm. Yes.
The women who come to us, and I know those feel unseen. They
Mm.
feel disempowered.
Mm-hmm.
They feel devalued, uh, not validated. What's the unvalidated? I don't know if it's invalidated
Mm-hmm.
or it invalidated or unvalidated, but they don't feel validated.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is that that takes that to shift that? So, one thing is that yes, people come to us, but I want to speak to those who are just trying to rough it first. They're gonna do
Mm.
it themselves. Oh, I just watched that live. I just watched Joyce and Vuyanzi's live. I got this. I'm gonna do it myself. Uh, Queen, I'll say this,
Mm.
Queen. You don't have to be superwoman in order to uncover your superpower, right? You can
Mhm.
do it with support because we already know that you've gone through some things. You're going through some things, even right this very moment,
Yes. Mhm.
right? And when you hear us talk about this, it's not without our bumps and bruises and scrapes and things. And you know, for me, coaching definitely. There's been coaching, a lot of coaching, even because coaches need coaches too, right?
Yes,
So,
yes, yes. Uh-huh.
so that healing part. So I don't know. I have so many things because you're touching on things. I'm trying to go through them all in my mind, but we understand when you've lived your life feeling unseen, devalued, feeling that you're not worthy, that definitely takes a toll. What
Mhm.
many of you have done 4+ decades in living that life. That takes a toll. So now what do we do? So it just starts off simple. Even just simply saying to yourself, whispering to yourself, who am I? And just close your eyes and see what begins to come up for you.
Mm.
Pen and a paper nearby. Sorry, I'm old school. I still do pens and papers.
Oh, me too. Me too. I love pen and paper.
And then whatever comes up for you and write it out. First is just getting it out because one of the things is that it is in there. Who you are is in there. It may even look so much different. You talked about the housewife could be a CEO. First of all, I dare to say that she's operating as a CEO, as that housewife.
Even
And
in the
she
house.
can,
Yes.
and
Yes.
she can
Yes.
take those skills and get,
Mhm.
apply them over here. So
Mhm.
even
Yes.
in knowing who you are. And so this is coming up for me right now. Some of you may have been saying, well, how do I even know if I don't know who I am? I'll say that again because I know that's a little bit convoluted in how I said that. How do I even know that I don't know who I am. I've been doing the same career, the same thing for 20 plus years, 15 years, whatever it is. This is who I am, right? But how do I know? So I'll say that your guts will tell you. Your inner something will trigger it. Just this week, Joyce, I or last week, okay, this is early this week, so I think it was last week. I made this post and I started it with something like this. I don't even want this. And what I talked about in this post was there was a point that all three of my kids had all three gone away to college at the same time. So it was just me. And I'm pushing my cart down the grocery store aisle. And then I was like literally in an aisle that me, me, I didn't even want anything in that aisle. And the things that I was about to shop for was all based upon those kids. Now, I love those kids, Aaron, Keith, and
Mhm.
Imani. However,
Uh-huh.
I didn't, Vuyanzi didn't really want to eat what they were eating. I just bought that for 20 something years because that's what
They
they
wanted.
like. And so it took
Mm.
a grocery store moment. And if anyone types that in there, a grocery store moment to figure out that a part of who I was had been pushed down. It was what it was as far as being a
Mhm.
parent. That's fine.
Mm.
However, it was starting to unlayer. Now those kids were away at college. Now I could discover who I was. So, to the person asking, how do I even know that that isn't who I am? Your guts, my gut, your guts will tell you when it's time to begin unlayering to get to who you are. For me, it was in ShopRite in Northvale, New Jersey. And that was my discovery. And
Yes,
then I started
wow.
realizing that I didn't. And guess what? And I'll say just this part that in the end, I stopped shopping there. I didn't even want the food, not just the aisle. I left the aisle, I left the store, and
So
I only I started shopping at the Korean store or the Korean grocery store around the corner. I only would go to ShopRite if I absolutely could not find it. So that was
wow.
another layer of discovery. Yes, I'm using a comical moment at a grocery store. However, the
Mhm.
bottom line is, you know, you will know. There was a song by Stevie Wonder. You will know, troubled heart. You'll know, like you will know who you are because your gut
Mm.
will tell you.
Mhm. Wow, that is so powerful. That is so powerful. Even just realizing that you are just realizing that having that aha moment,
Mm,
because sometimes I mean, and you know what? When you're in that space trying to figure things out, it's not complicated because
mm,
sometimes we try to make it very complicated. And I think that's why people find this journey very difficult when it comes to
mm,
discovering your purpose, because we are constantly thinking that it's going to be like a big thing when you could just be in the grocery store and get that aha moment and realize that I don't like to be here. And and yeah, so I try to tell people, don't make it complicated, just simple. It's simple. Your Like, God will not make you, like, you don't have to go so far to get what you're looking for. It's right there within you. And
mm,
so it's very important to just realize that discovering your purpose and
mm,
getting that aha moment
mm,
could be, you could get it from anywhere. You could get it just when you wake up in the morning and you're like, I just don't like how my life looks,
mm.
or this is not what I want my life to look like.
Yeah.
And I remember one time before I quit my job, just asking myself, is this what I want? Is this
Mm,
how I envisioned my life to be? Is this what I want to do until I die?
yeah.
Like, what
Ooh.
I was like, is this all life has to give? Am I
Mm,
just here to wake up in the morning, go
mm,
to work, and deal with these people that I don't like, and then during lunchtime we talk about the leadership because we are so
mm,
tired of how they're doing things, and then so I realized that I had to take a step back and ask myself, what kind of life do I want? because sometimes we don't even ask ourselves, we just live and keep
Wow.
doing,
Wow.
and without asking ourselves those questions. What kind of life do I want? And am I going in with the things I'm doing right now? Is it sending me to that life that I want or not? And if the answer is no, then the other question is, what do I need to do to get that life that I want? Because a lot of times we are taught
Ooh.
to think that everything is so far-fetched, or things are not available to us, they're only available to others, when the reality is everything starts with you. When you make that decision, you are able to be able to now, like, once you realize, this is, I want this kind of life, then that's when you start making the steps of, how do I get to that life? But
Mm.
not settling and just saying that, oh, this is a life, I always wanted to travel, I wanted to do this and this and this and that, and just never taking the step. Because people will say, I want to always travel. Then you're like, do you have a passport? They're like, no, I don't
No.
have a this. I'm like, how do you want to travel and you don't have a passport?
Mm.
You can, you, so we, there are these things, because we say what we say, these things, but we don't believe that we are even worth what we can, that we're capable of getting them. So I
Mm.
want to go ahead and just acknowledge people who have made some comments here. Pastor Chris said, great conversation. And then we have Teddy here. She said also pray and putting it in your sister of confidence circle. Yeah, that's true, to see if they could help identify who you are. This can help one discover who you are. Just my 2 cents. That is so true.
Can I just acknowledge this about Teddy really quickly? Teddy is,
Yes.
he's a guy. He's a guy. So this is having a great impacts on men too. If
Mhm.
anyone saw that picture, that lovely picture that you had of me, he is a great photographer. So I just needed to say he's a professional photographer, and he's the one that I credit for that beautiful picture that you see where I'm smiling. Okay,
Yes.
sorry, I wanted to say
Oh,
that.
awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, that is really good. And then also I have Tyler King saying, dream big. Tyler has she sells clothes. She has some amazing clothes. So even you see the little picture there, yeah, she looks hot. So make sure you guys you follow her on Facebook, because she Tyler advertised for you. So make sure that lunch, make sure the lunch is coming. Yes, I also see Coach Israel here saying he's watching. And then I see Mary Nganga, she says your gift brings you before kings. So I know some of the comments are on Facebook, others are on YouTube. So maybe I think on Facebook, sometimes if Facebook can't see what's on YouTube, but that's fine. Like, we can see all of them. And so guys, we thank you God so much for being here. And of course, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask those questions and we'll try. Oh, Tyler said you got me. Okay, I'll send you my calendar. Let me know when you're available. We can go for that lunch.
Taylor, you getting called out here. I love it. I love it.
I know. I'm here doing my job, and I'm getting a free lunch.
Wow.
Yeah, but really that part of discover, getting to know that you deserve what you dream about, because a lot of times our self-worth, how we are raised, sometimes you're told, sometimes you could be, you the whole of your life you could be told, no one in your family has ever done that, no one in your family has ever lived in that area, no one in your family has ever been able to afford stuff like that. So you subconsciously believe that you're not capable of doing certain things, or you desire a certain life,
Yeah.
but you feel like you can never have that life because of just what has been programmed in you. And
Mm.
so even as women, when it comes to leadership, sometimes we look at some roles and just feel like, oh, that role is for a man, or maybe that role is, i can't I can't get to that place, or I can't live in that place, or I can't provide for myself, or I can't do this. When in actuality, even when we talk about the coaching programs that we have, it's, we want you to to know that all those things are just limitations. And I had talked about limitations previously. A limitation is not something that, a limitation will not stop you. A limitation will slow you down. So something that you could have accomplished in 1 year, you could maybe, and with a limitation, you'll end up accomplishing it in 5 years. So it wastes so much time. And that's why it's important to break limitations from the mind, all the limitations we have, so that we can be able to just live this life and do the things that God has put in our hearts to do, without wasting so much time.
Wow.
Mm.
Sorry, I'm just writing down some notes as you're
Yes.
talking.
Mhm.
some thoughts that it brought up. Okay, and
Mhm.
you mentioned this word, and I really want to go back to it about our programming, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And people may not. Okay, okay, yeah,
Mhm.
I think there is a question. I can't. I need some help from my friend
Oh,
Sophie.
okay. It says, the question is, Joyce, why would one even think like that? Think like how, I can't even think like what? We forget as soon as we finish talking, we forget.
But no, but he had an but Teddy also there was another question up there. Do you see that one?
Okay. Yes. Or how does one know their life if they don't know who they are? And oh yeah, that's a question about identity. How do you get to know who you are? Can you see it?
I'm getting help from my friends.
Mm.
These are my friends. Yeah, okay, so I'm sorry. I just have to read that. How does one know their life if they don't know who they are and who they belong to, or
To,
even
or
to
even
know
know
that they will make a way for the life who one wants?
one
Well,
wants.
Teddy, I'm thinking about the comment. There was a previous comment that Teddy made about prayer.
Mm,
And I know people from all different walks of life and all different backgrounds come onto
mhm,
these calls. However, I think, to talk about the power of prayer is important as well.
mhm.
So, those people who may not buy into prayer, there's actually research that has been done to talk about the positive things and the positive positions, internal positions people
Effects.
have as a result of prayer. So there is
Mhm,
scientific backing behind the power of prayer. Uh,
mhm,
when one leans into that, right? So you believe that there is something greater. You believe in God, that there is something greater than you. Leaning into that, right? It's in the Bible, it says that we were made in his image. So just
mhm,
imagine for a moment there, if we're made in the image of God, what does that mean about who you are? And when
mhm.
you're talking about one understanding their value and their worth, what does that automatically do? Um, Let me talk about what not to do really quickly. I grew up sometimes hearing in church a prayer like this, and I apologize for stepping on toes that I'm about to step on, Joyce.
It's
But I heard
okay.
prayers like this: Lord Jesus, we come before you. We know we're not worthy to be coming. We're not. We don't deserve. There's a difference between being humble and saying we're not worthy. We don't deserve. Because then now I'm going to say something kind of strong here, Joyce. This is where the strong pieces come out. That's almost
Yeah.
blasphemy. Isn't that almost blasphemy? Like you're saying what you're not, but God already said who you were. And in
Mhm.
prayer, you're saying what you're not. You're saying when in the Bible it says we have the ability to come before the throne. It didn't say like mice. It didn't say
Mm.
undeserving. It said, if anyone knows what this word is, it's boldly,
Boldness. Yes, yes, yes.
boldly to make, and we can make our petitions known.
Yes. Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So even connecting to prayer, but understanding who you are and who you are praying to, and knowing that
Mm,
then you can begin to say, I know who I am.
mm,
I know
mm.
whose I am. When
Yes.
my kids were little and they used to go out. I was like, remember who you are. They're like, okay, mom. And I'm like, remember whose you are. Okay. But you know what? I'm going to say that to the people in the back. Remember who you are and remember
Yes,
whose you are. Let me just
that's so true.
I'm
Yes.
gonna say this because we be getting really excited, but and I know our time is running out. But
No,
can I say
but that's
one more
okay.
thing
Yeah,
about
go ahead. Mhm.
the movie? One of my favorite, and I did not watch the newer version like with Beyonce and who it was, but Lion King, the original Lion King, that when my daughter, who's now 31, was like 5 years old,
No.
watching it repeatedly, right? There's an amazing scene where Mufasa, who is the father that at this point has died, comes to Simba in a vision or a dream. And so at that point in Simba's life, he was living with like I don't know. He was living with animals that weren't of his kind. They were very nice, Hakuna Matata, but he was eating leaves and berries and insects, and he wasn't even on the right diet for a
Yeah.
lion. Okay. And then his father comes and has a talk with him. I'm feeling this, and I know this is a cartoon, but I'm really feeling this. Like someone
Mm,
needs to hear this because I want to say this before I say what his father says. Simba wasn't walking in alignment. Simba wasn't using his superpower. Simba
mm,
wasn't walking in purpose. He was
mm.
out of alignment with who he had been called to be. He had been called to be the Lion King, and he was living with those other animals there.
Mm.
And yes, he was having a great time,
Wow.
but he wasn't, he was not who he was supposed to be. And the last thing his father says to him was, remember who you are. And then the
Mm.
song was fading in the background. Remember who you are. And it was
Wow.
that moment, that Simba Mufasa moment, that he knows that something has to change in his life. And he had to fight to get there. There had to be a fight. Know that that transition wasn't easy. Know that when he accepted his purpose, it wasn't all, oh, this is easy. No, he had to fight for his position. But the
Mm.
road had already been paved because he decided to walk in it. Many of you are watching this and you think that because you've acknowledged whatever it is that road is, it may not be easy. Some of you will have to fight for your position, but the thing is, you got to be in alignment. And when when
Wow.
when that position is yours, what God
Mm.
has for you will be for you. Sorry, Joyce, I didn't mean to get all preachy, but I was feeling that in my guts and in my soul.
And wow, that is so powerful. That's a cartoon, but that analogy is so powerful because a lot of us are living like Simba. We are not in alignment with who our Father says we are. We are living beneath what God desired for us to, where God desired for us to be. We don't really know ourselves. And sometimes, and so there are things we are asking God for that God has already done it. And He's wondering, why are you asking me? Just walk in it. Because He's put the gifts, the talents in us. He's already put everything within us. And He has called us to become the women or the men that He's called us to be. But if we don't know, like that lion, he didn't know. He was in an environment where everybody was eating leaves, so he didn't know that his assignment in life was to be able to kill an animal for himself and eat meat. But
Wow.
he was settling for leaves and insects because that's what everybody else around them was doing.
Mm,
And
mm,
so, even in our own lives, how we were raised, the people who surrounded us when we were growing up, the environment we are in will determine what we are going to start looking for, or what we think our worth is, or what we can accomplish. And so God has to first of all, we like, even if you're here on this live, I want you to know that there's more in you than what you're experiencing right now. There's greatness inside of you. And so it's very important for you to take time and discover who
Mm.
God has called you to be. And it's not easy. It's not going to be like a walk in the park just to say, oh, okay, God said I'm this and that, because everything, if for 30, 40 years you've always thought that you're just this little bitty person here, and then all of a sudden God says there's greatness inside of you, I'm calling you to be, I'm going to use the story like for Gideon. Gideon was in the one, Gideon is like my favorite story because his life is like mine. He was the least in his father's household, and he was just doing his thing, and then God starts calling him to be, you, hey, you mighty man of valor.
Woo!
And Gideon is like, what kind of, first of all, Gideon was even offended, like, why are you calling me this? Stop calling me, stop it, you know. And
Yes.
that's how we feel sometimes when we are told that there's greatness inside of you, God has things in store for you. It's even upsetting because you look at your environment, you've already programmed, you've already accepted that this is all I can be, and then all of a sudden God starts telling you there's more inside of you. And so we it's going to be a struggle, and that's why we call it, it's going to be the messy middle, because
Wow.
it's going to be messy, you trying to fight what you've always thought you are and what God is saying you are. But when you decide to take that journey to discover who God has called you to be, then you can be able to be like Gideon, where Gideon was in the wine press, feeling sorry for himself, feeling like he cannot accomplish anything. And then he calls for an army, and I don't know, 20, is it 22,000 people appear. So you
Mm.
can imagine within him, he was a commander of an army,
Wow.
and within him he could do all the he could lead an army, but he didn't know. All he could see himself was just this little guy trying to make sure that their food is not taken away by the Midianites. Well, in reality, he was he was a commander of an army. So
Mm.
how much, and God puts these stories in the Bible to let us know that you are just because you're in this environment,
Yes.
or just because you see yourself in this little, as this little person, that
Yes.
doesn't mean that this is who you are. There's greatness inside of you. I've
Yes.
put things inside of you that I want you to accomplish, and you have to start seeing yourself that way. And that's why we have coaches, because
Mm.
it's like I spent so much money with coaches, because I was like, when I finally understood that there's more in me than what I can see or what I
Wow.
believe,
Wow.
I was like, I gotta get someone who can help me.
Yes.
And that's why I started investing in coaching. I spent
Yes.
a lot of money in coaching because I was like, I have to be able to break those limitations within me that are,
Yes.
and the voices don't go away. The volume just goes down a little, because it
Yes.
doesn't go away. That because sometimes I'll wake up and I'm like, okay, I can't do this, or why am I not able? I start falling back into the old patterns.
Mm.
Then I remember and say, who I'm like Gideon. I'm a woman of valor. I'm
Yes.
going to conquer. And so I have to speak to myself so that I can get myself to remember what God says I am. So I want to acknowledge Queen Gladness. So good to see you here. I'm glad you're here. And then I see Lillian.
Mm.
So good to see you guys here on YouTube. I'm so excited. Those are my girlfriends. So I'm really
Oh,
happy to
nice.
see them here. Yeah. And of course, if you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the go ahead and put them there in the comment section. And so I'm really, like, my desire is just to see women blossom. My desire is to see women discover their superpower,
Mm.
maximizing their potential, because it's been scientifically proven that how a mother feels about herself, even when she's pregnant, it goes to the child.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're feeling insecure,
Yeah.
if you're feeling insecure, or if you're feeling like low self-esteem, you're feeling sad, and all those different things, they go to the child. And then even when your child is born, how you feel about yourself, that's how you're teaching your child to view the world.
Mm,
So if you're constantly sad or constantly in a bad mood or constantly just not feeling your best, that's what your child is picking up from you, and they pick up all that from you for a while, and then now that develops and it becomes their personality. And
mm,
sometimes you'll be asking, why is my child always so sad, or why is my child always doing this? But they picked it up from you,
yes.
because if you are sad, you are not happy, you're confused, and all those different things, it transition it goes to them.
Yeah.
And so, and that's why it's so important when a woman is empowered, when a woman gets to know who they are, when a woman is walking in their feminine energy where they can become who God has called them to be,
Yeah.
then they are able to be the best mothers to their children, and they're able to teach them, because children, you know what, you can sit and teach your child how to behave well
Mm,
every single day, but at the end of the day they'll just behave like you.
mm,
Whoever, because they'll be like, you behave, you tell me to do this, but I'm watching. So they all, that's why you'll see little kids. Sometimes even when my daughter was little, I could see her coming and taking my shoes. She wants to wear my shoes. She wants to carry my purse, because those are things I didn't have to tell her, but those are things she saw me do and she starts to copy.
yeah.
And so the same thing, our kids copy everything about us. When we're cursing, when whatever songs we are singing in the car.
Oh, tell the truth.
Yeah, they pick up everything. So one time I was even convicted. I was like, okay, I have to change some of these things that I'm doing, especially in the car. When I'm by myself, there's some things I can listen to, and then when I'm with them, there are certain things, because there's sometimes I listen to their songs till you get tired, because we've been listening to Rio and I don't know who, and I'm just like, because all the songs I use nowadays are like from cartoon movies, so I'm like, geez, Lord, I just want to listen to my own songs and feel good.
Yeah,
But my passengers are, my passengers. I'm like, okay, let me make sure I don't I don't mislead my passengers.
exactly. 100%. I
Uh,
know about those days. I think I missed a couple of decades of music because of that. I won't even, I was about to say one group I didn't even know who they were until
mhm.
recently, and I was like, ugh, God. Anyway, there's something that you're saying. Oh gosh, and this is where I was before, but that thing that you talked about, even from the third trimester of being in our mother's wombs up until
Yes.
the age of 7, that imprints on our programming. And just so that everyone knows, right, 95% of our patterns, our behavior, are based
Mhm,
upon our subconscious mind. So that's that sub level. And it
mhm.
feeds from what came through the 5% that came through that come through our conscious mind. And so
Yes.
if you think about that, there's programming, everyone, that you don't even realize that is there. But then you
Mm,
start to look at things like the same obstacles that you come up against, right? Whether that's fear or oh no, self-sabotage and procrastination, right? That has something to do with something else that started actually when you were a child. A lot of
yes.
times, most of my clients, and this is over and over again, and everyone thinks is they're the only one. Their patterns of behavior and what's stopping them, they can trace back to something or some things that happened when they were a child, or if it
Mhm.
didn't happen to them, something that happened that they perceived it a certain way, and so therefore they internalized
Yes.
it. Therefore it grew and grew to a certain thing in their subconscious mind. And here's the
Mm.
other thing. I don't know if you follow Dr. Bruce Lipton, Joyce, but
Yes.
but
Yes. Yes.
okay,
All
great.
of them, Joe
You did.
Dispenser.
I kind of thought you did. Is how you talk that makes me think about that. But okay, so we know 95% of what we do comes from the subconscious mind, right? So only
Mhm.
5% is the ruling part. Now, on top of that, I heard this stat from him: 60 to 70% of what we say to ourselves is negative, negative
Mhm.
talk.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and these things, right? So we're thinking about limitations, we're thinking about impact of culture and environment. And, everything starts here. It starts with awareness. Self-awareness is sexy. I'll say that again for the people in the back.
Hmm. Yeah.
Self-awareness is sexy because then you start to see how, wait, oh my gosh, wait, 60 to 70% of what I say to myself is negative. And then you start to think about it and you're like, ooh, wow, that's right. Oh my gosh, yeah. Why do I do this way? Because that's based upon subconscious, but now we're bringing it right into the conscious mind. And then how
Hmm.
all of these things, culture, environment, how we're talking about leadership, but how it has impacted leadership and life itself
Yes.
and
Yes.
how
Hmm.
we do life and how we live life. I'm all the way loving this conversation. Teddy, thank you
Hmm.
so much for all you're saying too. I can't believe a guy
Yes.
stayed on all this time. It's totally awesome what's happening.
Yes, thank
Uh,
you. Thank you so much. Thank you for staying on. Yeah, we're almost done, guys,
yeah.
but yeah, but it's so like when it comes to because I remember even when I was little, I was bitten by a dog, and so I don't trust dogs. I don't trust anybody's dog, even if it's a chihuahua. You tell me, "Oh, it's so cute." I don't trust dogs. And
Mm.
so I like just with my fear of dogs and not wanting them around me, it translated to my kids. My kids didn't know why they're afraid of dogs, but they're afraid of dogs. And my daughter, one time she came and told me, she's like she I call her the ambassador because of her way of thinking. She came and told me, Mommy, I realized that fear of dogs is just your problem. It's not mine. I don't have to be
Wow.
I'm not afraid of dogs. And so now she's not afraid of dogs. So from that time, it's like when she got an aha moment, like dogs have never done anything wrong to me. I don't have to be running with my mom when she's running away from.
Sorry, I'm so sorry, Joyce. I love your daughter right now. I love the ambassador.
The ambassador she just said, and from that time on, she stopped being scared of dogs. Like she would even when we are walking in the park and she sees a dog, she would ask me, "Are you okay?" But she's like, she's not running, she's not scared. She's like wondering, "Okay, are you gonna be okay?" But and then so my son is also afraid of dogs, so I'm hoping he'll get that revelation so he can walk in his freedom. Otherwise, we'll constantly be together, like, oh my gosh, a dog. And then sometimes I really, really try because I know that my fear translated to him. So I really try, like when I see a dog, I'll try to be not as I manage to control myself. So I'm kind of calm. I'm just watching it, but I'm just watching it like any sudden move, dog, I'll pepper spray you.
Not the pepper
Guys, I'm
spray.
not, I just don't trust them. So but that's it showed me the power. That's how powerful it is, the things we are transmitting to them. And so if we want them to walk in wholeness, we have to start with us, because sometimes we desire for our kids to have certain things, like we just want you to be whole, we want you to be the head, we want you to believe in yourself. But if they're looking at you and you don't believe in yourself, there's no way they will have the confidence to believe in themselves. So the journey starts with us. Everything starts with us, so that we can be able to be that example and even help the next generation. So Lillian says Claire is my heroine. I know she is. Man, she just told me, dogs, that's your fear, not mine.
Wow. Wow.
I
Wow.
don't even have to think like that. But
Mm.
but yeah, so ladies, do you have any questions, and what other closing remarks do you want to give coach before we leave?
Yeah, yeah, no problem. I mean, this conversation has been uh it's been great because even for me, it's been like insightful. It's been empowering. It's been inspirational for me even to
Mhm.
participate. So first of all, again, I say thank you, Joyce, for allowing me to come aboard today with you. And especially you said it's your first one in a long time. So I feel honored that you would have me on
Yes.
the first one in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I will end with this, with the words of the Apostle Paul, where he said, do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that if we are looking for transformation in our lives, going with the flow, even though it sounds like a great expression and we like to use it, but
Mm-hmm.
going with the flow may not be your calling. That conformity, that just doing what everyone else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Transformation starts here first. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all in the end, right? We started on that saying all the ideas start here. And that is where transformation starts, from the inside out. I am Coach Vuyanzi Rodman, and thank you again, Joyce, for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's just been so awesome sharing, being with you here and you just sharing your wisdom and your all these great gems. So I hope guys you're gonna be tagging your friends who are at work, who are not able to log in, and just tag everybody and share in your different groups. And my final remarks is just for people to realize that there's greatness inside of you. There's
Mm,
greatness inside of you. And if you're looking at your life and you're feeling dissatisfied, that means that the next level is calling you. That dissatisfaction means that the level you're in right now, you've outgrown that level, and the next level is calling you. So it's up to you to take time and discover what that next level requires you to have. And then also to know that you have the power to create your life how you want it to be. It starts by
mm,
it starts by you first taking time, take a step back, and just
mm,
start to think when you were young, what kind of life did you think you wanted? Because a lot of times growing up is what kills our dreams.
mm.
Yeah, growing up sometimes we're told, oh, that's not reality. Oh, you need to get, the way
Wow.
you said, get with the flow. We keep, or even we tell people, like, sometimes if your child says, I want to, like, sometimes my kids would say, I want to be an artist and an astronaut, and I'd find myself wanting to tell them, you got to pick one. But who says you have to pick one? You can be an astronaut who draws in the moon. You could
Absolutely.
be the Yes, you could be the first one doing whatever it is that but we try to tell people to that, like, be realistic, because we are using our past to determine what can be accomplished, when sometimes you could be the trailblazer of whatever it is that God has put you, that the desire that you want to have. So don't be afraid of just dream, like, what do you want? And like Coach Vuyanzi says, put it on paper. How do you want your life to look?
Mm,
Because if you want your life to look like you'll be traveling and being in the beach every month, then that can be a reality. So it's up to you now, taking a step back and saying, okay, I want to be in different beaches every month. So what do I need to yes, so I can be able to accomplish that.
yeah.
Don't just brush it off and say no one does it like that, and I
Mhm.
haven't no, that's just unrealistic. Don't brush it off. Whatever it is in your heart to do, you can be able to do it. So we have to break those limitations in our own minds that tell us that, that constantly tell, those voices that constantly tell us to, hey, be real, be realistic. You know what? You can accomplish whatever you want. So I see that there's a comment here. What is the thing we women have of wanting to conform? So that's a good question, Lillian, because she's asking, why do women always feel like they want to conform? I believe even just as human beings, we want to be accepted. We want to be a part of a family, because we are created we want to be part of a community. And so if the things that you want make you feel like you're gonna threaten ability to be part of the group or part of the community, then most of the time we're not strong enough to just stand out. We want to just cut that part out and act as though, and this happens especially when we are adolescents, like teenagers and all that. You're like, okay, I'm like, some kids actually say, I don't want people to know that I'm so smart or that I'm in the gifted and talented class. I just want them to, the thing that is good about them, that they have a good brain, like they can do, they don't want people to know them like that, because they're like, okay, they call me a geek or whatever. And so you conform, maybe you live and not pay attention in class so that you don't do so well. And these are realities. So even as grown-ups, you can find someone who wants to, there's something you want to do that's outside of what everybody expects of you, and you just decide to shy away because you're like, you know what, let me not do it so it doesn't cause people to talk too much, talk about me and stuff like that. So Coach, did you want to add on to that question?
I think not too much. I think also you would hit on it also at the very beginning, is that nurturing piece, the being nurtured to nurture as girls. So that already goes to conformity. Another piece is, you mentioned it, and just to go back to it, the sense of belonging. So everyone, when we took that psychology 101
Yeah, 101.
of college, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, one of them is love and belonging. So that piece of belonging to that thing. So therefore that is conformity. So even understanding the difference between conformity and belonging, because like, for most part of my life, I was the least in my parents' house too. But the way, for me, it was a little bit different. It was more loudmouth person because trying to get people's attention. Hello, I'm here, but what is there with that belonging, right? But still being who you are and not conforming. So heck, you could have another show on that, Joyce.
I know, but even just now when you're talking about that being loud and not because you feel like you're not heard, and that happens a lot even with kids who are, either you come from a big family where you're so many, so you feel like the only way to be heard is by you doing something extraordinary, or you have to really be like, okay, then your parents will see you like, what? And then they will, at least they'll listen to you. Or because if you're too quiet, they might not listen to you. They'll just assume everything is okay.
Yeah.
And then the other part is also when you're I'm losing my train of thought. Anyways, yeah, but that thing of wanting to be, sometimes wanting to be seen, also it happens when your parents are too busy for you. You could be an only child and maybe your parents are both busy, they're both working, and everybody's too busy. And so you feel like the only way my parents can listen to me is if I do something out of the ordinary, then they'll stop and actually give me attention. So you could do that negatively by doing bad things, even bad things in school.
That would be me. Yes. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you could do bad things so that you can be, because you feel like even if I do good things, they don't notice me. They'll leave me with a babysitter, or they'll do, and so they won't pay attention. And so we tend to do all these other things that will bring it, so that we can just get our attention. If you're like, I don't care what kind of attention it is, whether it's positive or negative, I
Yes.
just want attention. And so I'm just going to add it again to and what Lillian says, even belonging to the wrong relationship and situations. That's so true. That wanting the attention can cause you to go there, but even it affects how you show up even in relationships. Because now in relationships, you feel like, I need for this person now to see me, and I need to, and then now it makes you become almost like a people pleaser. Like, for this person, for me to make sure that this person always sees me, I have to do all this extra stuff. And that's how you find women who go all the way out doing some crazy thing. It looks crazy to other people, like, why would you do that for someone? Why would you do that? And why can you see that this person doesn't want you, or this person is doing this?
Yeah.
And you do all those things because from childhood, you had to perform in order to be seen. And so even as you're a grown up, you find yourself getting into this relationships where they require you to perform, to go out of your way to do so much just to be seen, or for you
Mm,
to get your needs met, or for you to even get the attention that you need.
yeah.
And of course, if that also creates a whole other dynamic, which will be part two of this session, because if we start that right now, that's
Yes.
something we cover in my Discover Your Superpower class. But
Mm, yes.
yeah, but it's just something that a lot of times our environment, our culture, our childhood affects how we show up in every area, in leadership, in relationships, how what you accept and what you don't accept. It affects so many things. And that's why it's important for us to be able to address this, for us to be able to take time and look at this area, because it does play a big role, especially if we are being called the leaders of today or the leaders
Mhm.
of tomorrow. I don't know what age group to put it in. And to make myself younger to say I'm the leader of tomorrow, but we
They're
maybe I'm
about
the
to say
lead.
yesterday for me.
We are the leaders who need to exit. So the leaders of today,
Yes, 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 yes.
whichever way you want to put it, but it's true. So,
Mhm.
but the bottom line is, I hope ladies and men that you just know that your background, your childhood, your environment
Mhm.
affects you a great deal. And so you have to take time and just ask yourself those questions so that you can be able to maximize your life and become everything God has called you to be. And so for now, we really have to wind down. We have to close. We've been here a while. And so, Jamie, if you could go ahead and just put the Code Vuyanzi's information. And can you tell them a little bit about your program, and also where Jamie will put the information where they can find you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I call it a movement for Black women leaders who are looking to transition out of their careers with ease. And it doesn't have a sexy name right now, but I call it passion, purpose, position, so that you can
Mhm.
really discover your passion, walk in your purpose, and get into position for your next level of success. We start off with something simple. As really a purpose finder session. And that is currently what I'm doing, complimentary for those who qualify, a purpose finder session where we go through a session. There's some questions that I ask. Also, sometimes things come to me and I may sense things that I may not necessarily go down the line of questions to ask, but your things are uncovered and discovered about you in those sessions. So I encourage you to reach out to me. If you're watching this on Facebook, you can I guess connect with me there, and any other social media. I'm Coach Vuyanzi, or Facebook, it's Vuyanzi Rodman. And also my link tree hopefully is there. You can get all my contact information in my link tree here in the comments. So thank you so much, Joyce. Mwah, 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 mwah. I'm sending kisses to you and lots of
Thank
hugs
you.
to you too. Yeah,
Yes.
I've loved this. I have been having so much fun. I love this so much. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And guys, as you all know, I have the Discover Your Superpower program. And so you can find that information in all my social media platforms. I have that. And then also by Facebook, on my website, joycemarendes.com is also, you can also find all my information there. And be sure to follow us, especially on YouTube. We are trying to grow YouTube. I think I'm beginning to like YouTube. So guys, let's because I love Facebook, but
But
also I
also,
want to start. Yeah, I want to utilize YouTube. So make sure you follow us on YouTube so that anytime we have anything, any sessions that we're gonna be having, especially this month, you want to make sure that you don't miss out on anything. And then Lillian said, thank you. She said, Asanteni, good job. Thank you, Lillian, for showing up. I know it's late for you guys in Kenya. So thank you so much for being for staying till the end. And then also my next class starts on March 25th. So if you want to sign up for that next class, I want to encourage you to go on my website or any of my social media platforms. You'll be able to get that information so that you can be able to sign up, and we can be able to get to, I can be able to talk to you, get to know what it is you're trying to accomplish, so I can be able to help you, because I know that there's greatness inside of you. As usual, we are here to empower, to equip, and to promote you in any way that we can, so that you can maximize your life and also live life at your maximum capacity. So thank you, Caroline. Thank you for being here. Thank you, each and every one of you. And Coach Vuyanzi, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I've had so much fun. We need to do this live. We need to meet and do this live. So we're going to be talking in the background just now once we finish. And Teddy, thank you so much for being with us and for
Thank you, Teddy.
all the comments and everything. Yes, you say it's 9:35 in Kenya right now. Wow. Yes, guys, thank you for being here up to this time. I know it's late, but we had fun. At least I had fun.
So much fun.
Yes, Jamie, you can take us off, and then with the break limitations video. And yes, Gladness, thank you so much. It was so good. We'll be having you. I'll be reaching out to you, so I'll have you, and we can continue this conversation.
Wow.
She's doing some great things in the UK. So
wow.
So thank you so much. And Jamie, we are ready to go.
Welcome to Breaking Limitations Show with our host, Joyce Marendes. We are here to empower, equip, and promote. Let us discover your superpower.